I had to record an ad while I still had the stash. You know, that's why our advertisers pay the big dollars. Our first one, of course, Squaring Around is proud to be brought to you by Elite Sports. It's the only apparel company that's got our official podcast gear. If you want to support the show, buy a hat, buy a sweater, buy a jacket, buy a baby's onesie. We got it all. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Squaring Around is also proud to be brought to you by Homefield Apparel. Homefield is your one-stop shop to get every team in the entire universe of college athletics. Not Texas State yet, but I promise I've been sending these off-season emails. What have you guys been doing to get this partnership off the ground? Hey, I'll take the money where I can get it. Homefield.com, use code SQUARE at checkout, buy a friend a gift, buy something to something. Hey,
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. Andrew is on his way back to America, but pretty soon, me and him are going to be headed back to Mexico, basically. We're going to the Valley this weekend, where I'm from, where Andrew is vehemently hated, actually, because of his stance on tacos, because of his politics, because of a lot of things. Obviously, I'm joking, but we're headed back to the Valley this weekend for one of my friend from college's engagement party. Sonia Garcia, one of my favorite people in the entire world. She's like a sister to me. She was my managing editor actually at the University Star. That's how me, Andrew, and her all know each other. We have a ton of friends going out there. They're getting married in October, but they're having their engagement party down there, actually in the hometown of my mom. So kind of a weird occurrence that that's happening. But I'm excited to get down there, excited to spend some time with my friends and family in my hometown-ish area. Um, let's address the elephant in the room off top. No stash. Baseball, you bit the dust. Just like softball, just like basketball, our dreams for the season really ended at the conference tournament. This time at the hand of the Troy Trojans, and we had that game. Don't know the final score, don't care. I watched the game in real time, shaved the stash off right after. Sad face. I know people probably want me to talk about the transfer portal stuff. Don't even get me started about the transfer portal stuff. All right, let me mourn in peace. This week, I wanted to kind of tease football, big time tease football. I brought on Dave Campbell's Carter Yates, my favorite writer in the entire world, Carter Yates, to talk about kind of like a way too deep, way too early look at the team. We talked about a lot of things coming into this season, and kind of like looking at last season and the season before, GJ Kinney's first year and second year, as kind of like a litmus test, basically, for year three. In year three, remember, GJ Kinney has a first year offensive coordinator at this level of football, Landon Keppel, and he's got Dexter McCoy, who's now in year two. He's got a lot of moving pieces too. Guys coming in, a lot of unproven pieces. So if you're not in love with the roster right now, you're probably not alone. You know, Carter's got that take, and I insert a few things here. Carter did a lot of the heavy lifting. I appreciate you, Carter. Thank you for joining the show in Zimmel's absence. So here is the conversation between me and Carter Yates. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. Andrew is still in Europe looking for a wife. A man that already has a wife, or I guess a wife on the way. Engaged to be married, Mr. Carter Yates. Carter, welcome to the show, buddy.
There's great advice that you should avoid stepping in a great man's shoes. So I promise I'm just trying to hold the fort down for a second while Andrew's gone, getting his wife.
Yeah, what do you think is the odds that he actually does come back with a wife?
It's not zero.
Mm-mm.
Where is he going? Where is he traveling right
He
now?
was in the Czech Republic. He was in like Prague, and he's got like family ties over there. So
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that about him.
the running joke is that I think his mom worked for the CIA, and he's like the Americans, but like in Bandera, Texas.
Hmm.
Mhm. So
Well, so it's not zero. Czech Republic. I didn't know Andrew had those roots.
I know Andrew Zimu. There's some something going on.
This is a very cultural podcast you guys got going on.
Dude, brown journalist starts a podcast. This is what happens. Unite the world.
I've tried to look into my ancestry and I think I'm Swedish and Norwegian, so I don't have much to offer at the table here.
I'm just Mexican, everybody, in case you're wondering. Seen stash though, no mustache because baseball is done at Texas State, and so now football's on the horizon. Carter, I'm a big vibes guy overall, and vibe wise for football, I would say the momentum is on their side, but it's only because of how poorly the spring season kind of shook out for the athletics department. Not like terrible. I think we still won like the Sun Belt Athletic Cup, the Boobas Cup. But I will say, like from the first responders bowl to the second first responders bowl, like the vibes were kind of like shifted. Like people were like, "Wah, we're here. This is what our season was." Blah blah blah. I think now, after seeing these guys pretty much just touch each other at the spring game, pause,
Yeah. No two-hand
but
touch.
yeah, like I don't know. The vibes are good, but maybe not great. Is that like where everybody falls right now, or what do you think the vibes are, just like outside looking in?
Yeah, I was reading Mike Craven's Texas State preview coming out in our summer magazines. You've got the magazines behind me right here if you're listening on the podcast, but it'll be out July 4th. And Craven talks about what a difference a year makes for expectations because it's the same record that Texas State has from year one to year two, same first responder bowl win. It's the first time in program history as an FBS program they've won back-to-back bowl games, won 8 games back-to-back years, but it felt like a bit of a disappointment from how that year started off with the absolute demolishing of UTSA 49-3. You think they're college football playoff contenders, have an outside shot at that, and instead they don't win the Sun Belt like many expected and predicted them to. But I put it similar to Texas Tech from a couple years ago, in where Joey McGuire wins 8 games in his first season and beats Oklahoma and Texas. And then his second year, they also go 8-5. And it felt like a massive letdown. I think sometimes with the transfer portal era, we try to look at programs and expect rocket ship hockey stick growth, where really it's more linear sometimes. So I would not say that last year was a total disappointment. It was a disappointment by the expectations people had, but I think long term, this program is still in a very good spot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was shouting it from the rooftops. If this is bad, then sign me up for bad every year. I mean, maybe not the First Responders Bowl. I was kind of sick of that, but I do love SMU Stadium. It's one of my favorite stadiums to go to. Um,
Hmm.
but I thought it was like super sad that everybody was kind of like bah humbug about it. And so that's why I was ready to get out of Dodge on the football season last year. I was like, okay, I'm sick of this. They're not even giving us player interviews because they went on like a string of lose. It was like they won two, lost two, won two, lost two, and they kept that pattern for like most of the year. And it was kind of sad face vibes. But I don't know. Yeah.
I talked to people in the UTSA game parking lot, and they had First Responders Bowl cups and koozies. Like it was their Super Bowl, and what a difference a year makes. And it kind of just felt like a disappointment, like you're talking about. But my overall vibes on the program is I don't think Texas State's roster in year three is as good as it was last year. I expect it to be a bit of a rebuilding year. And I think coaches, we judge them on their highs, but we should also judge them based on how they handle their lows. For instance, at UTSA, we talked about the game last year. That was not a good UTSA team. They were undisciplined. They didn't tackle well. It was a rebuilding year, and Jeff Traylor still managed to go 7-6 and win a bowl game. He handled that low, weathered that storm. I'm not saying Texas State should expect the same thing, but I don't think they'll be as good talent wise as they were in the 2 years prior. So GJ Kinney's going to show you what type of coach he is and what kind of culture he's set in this upcoming year three.
Yeah. I mean, that's often what they say, right? Is year three is like when it really matters. You start to see like the impact of the different recruiting classes that they have. That year one had like 53 dudes come into the portal. The only school with more transfers in Texas State was Colorado. So it felt very much like a injection of like what the program needed, like a shot of adrenaline almost, you know? And now it's kind of like we have a lot of high schoolers. I mentioned that to you yesterday coming in. We got a lot of like some transfer pieces and some pieces that we've had this whole time hoping to bloom into, the pieces that we had last year or semblance to. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
But
I think it's just like a lot of unproven things though, you know?
yeah, and I want to mention how the roster building looks different from year one to year three because you mentioned what GJ Kinney did in year one, beating Baylor in that first game, going 8-5 with an entirely new roster. I don't think the national media talked about it enough. Like what a coaching job that was. But when we go around the state for our magazine, we do a thing called coaching gossip, where Craven, I will go to other coaches and say, what do you think about this program? What do you think about this coach? And the thing that comes back on GJ Kinney is he wants to be a GM. Like yes, he loves coaching and he is a coach, but what he really loves about coaching is the talent evaluation and being that general manager type, who they're going to offer. And you saw when he brings in Ishmati and Joey Hobart, like those were hits. No one knew about those guys before they got to Texas State. They're at Utah Tech and Houston Christian. Now in year three, GJ Kinney is starting to go to the high school ranks a lot more. He's not portaling in an entire class every single year. You're seeing them go around Texas and get the high schoolers and those developmental prospects. And I think in G5 football, I see it when I'm a high school writer at Dave Campbell's. And I'm not just saying this because I am a high school writer. So if what I'm about to say, take all the bias aside, there's a lot of good talent in Texas high school that is not getting the proper looks because everyone wants the transfer portal guy and the older proven player. There is an avenue for G5 teams to get really special talent in the Texas high school football ranks that probably should be going P4 football, but is instead going to G5.
Do you think that's just like like a symptom of the transfer portal? Like guys
Yeah.
chasing money or like not, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I think college football is now operating on an MLB farm system level where you go up and down based on performance. So, like if you a lot of high schoolers, whereas they used to start out in P4 or G5, they're going FCS G5, and then they work their way up because there's such a glut of players at the very top who can transfer. There's almost unlimited eligibility. They used to say like they talk about their kids in college football. They're grown ass men sometimes now, like 24 to 25-year-olds in there. So I think that is a symptom of the transfer portal and the COVID era. Everyone got that extra year of eligibility. That should be over now at this point, but the point still remains. There's an avenue for G5 teams to get good high school talent.
yeah, I guess you also need like a certain pedigree. You have to prove that you can win games at certain level because like kids want to go to win games, especially like coming from like a decorated high school program, You talk about some of the best high school programs in the state and they want to go to winners. They don't want to go to some like stinker college. So I think GJ Kinney had to kind of prove his like madness and this is kind of like the fruits of his labor working out in year three.
And GJ Kinney's a confident guy when you talk to him. And you talked to him before, like he'll make you want to run through a brick wall. He makes you believe in what he's got going on. And I think the reason you see Texas State getting some Pac-12 Mountain West love, whether they take it or not, is because there's kind of a sleeping giant in San Marcos. And GJ Kinney is a charismatic leader of that. It's right in between San Antonio and Austin. It's a rabid fan base. I've been to the tailgates. They're awesome. Like, and the athletic administration is all in right now on athletics. So that's why maybe year three, I agree with you. I'm not super high on they're going to win the Sun Belt, but I think long term they're in a really good spot.
I talked to you like a couple weeks ago when the Keldrick Luster news happened. Is that just more like smoke and mirrors for Texas State, or is that like GJ Kinney trying to get a portal dude? You mentioned how confident GJ Kinney is. I've talked to the dude too. He's insane. But like in this portal era, if somebody tells him, "Hey, I'm gonna leave," he's like, "That's cool. I'm gonna bring somebody in tomorrow." So it's
Yeah.
kind of this unafraid recruiting.
I think he's addicted to adding quarterbacks. He does this every year. So you can look at the adding of Keldrick Luster two ways. Either it's year one, where Malik Hornsby was supposed to be the guy, did not have a good spring. They bring in TJ Finley because they need a starter. Or you can look at it like last year where they have Jordan McLeod, who has a great spring. They bring in RJ Martinez and they still say, hey, it's an open competition into the fall. But really, I mean, Jordan McLeod was kind of the guy that entire time. I think the addition of Keldrick Luster is a high upside RJ Martinez ad, basically. I think GJ Kinney knows he has multiple options at quarterback, whether that's Brad Jackson, whether that's Garner, whether that's Keldrick Luster. Someone on that roster can pilot this offense, but he comes from the NFL model. If he's been in the league, he's been in quarterback rooms. It's sink or swim, baby. We put four quarterbacks in that room, and the alpha dog emerges. And he's addicted to recreating that atmosphere at Texas State.
That's pretty sick because I feel like for a program, because we're the Bobcats, so we're cats, but for has that hasn't had many dogs, it's kind of cool to see that
Mhm.
atmosphere be created. I've gotten to see like open scrimmages, open practices. When they do let us in, we didn't get to go in all spring. But to see that atmosphere developing at Texas State, it's very cool to be in.
Well, did you go to open practices in the summer or in the spring at all, or did they lock it all down?
In the spring now. Yeah, they locked it all down in the spring. Last summer and spring, we were open season. It was ready to go.
And what is that atmosphere like that you're describing? Because I haven't been to open practices there.
There's a lot of yelling last year, and that's when I was like, ooh, maybe they are not gonna be undefeated because the vibes were so high after, especially NCAA 25 came out, and like the Bobcat hype was real. People were talking about CFP implications for Texas State, and the vibes were never higher in San Marcos. But then I go to that open practice last summer, guys kind of all over the place. DJ Kinney yelling a lot. We were only there, allowed to be there for like 10 minutes. And then I went to go film like a stand up outside the stadium. I could still hear them yelling and going afterwards. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Very
I'd be curious to see what it's like. I know they got it locked down, but I think that goes to show you GJ Kinney's personality, and he's a fiery dude. And I really like him long term as a head coach. I think going back to Craven's, like preview of the team, I think Kinney got irked a little bit by people thinking he was a ladder climber and he was only going to be at Texas State for a year or two. And we were there at the First Responders Bowl after the game, and he's talking about, man, I want a statue outside of this field. I want Wacker's spot. That's what he's going for. So I think GJ Kinney. Now I'm not saying he'll be at Texas State forever, but he's in it for a longer haul than what the national media wants to tell you, I believe.
Do you think he'll be at Texas State longer than Traylor will be at UTSA?
Ooh, that would be a good bet. Like
Because
who would
what
be
did
at
Traylor signed like a 10-year deal or something at UTSA? So
well,
he was
because
like 10.
Trailer's already on he got there in 2020, so this would be year six. You don't realize how long Trailer's been there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably say, I'd probably just, and I have no inside, I'd probably say no, just from very 1,000 foot view looking in. But I think the GJ Kinney's going to be gone after 1 year or 2 years was always a bit overblown.
hmm Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's like a ceiling or a bubble to like everything. Talk about transfer portal, talk about like there's all these like regulations coming into all of these things. And eventually the money's going to stop running in one direction. I feel like athletics departments across the country have like pretty much had to liquidate everything to keep up with everything going on, especially if they want to remain competitive. If they don't, I guess whatever. But for those of us that want to compete, it's been costing kind of a lot of money.
Well, that was always kind of the joke I had with a couple people at Dave Campbell's is like, you want to get private equity involved in college sports, they're going to come look at your athletic department and slash everything. The contracts in college football, the locker rooms they have, all the facilities, the amenities, the support staff, like if you it's a double-edged sword. You want private equity to find more money for your conference and then to then pay the players because revenue sharing coming, but college sports as a business model was never meant to make the most money possible. It was to get the best teams on the field. So private equity comes in like they're chop, chop, chop. It's going to be Doge up in there.
Yeah,
Like
if it was
crazy.
BlackRock Stadium instead of UFC Stadium, it'd be very different. Also, a lot less construction going to be at UFCU Stadium next year as the Bobcats complete all of that, like the stadium upgrades that they had going. So hopefully things will look a lot nicer for our TV viewers and everybody that are just there going to watch the games. As you look at the schedule, though, Carter, what are your immediate like thoughts, feelings? I'm not even going to go see these guys week one. I want to go watch UTRGV's Vaqueros play their first game ever.
There we
But
go.
Eastern Michigan comes to San Marcos week one.
Yeah, I am so intrigued again by the UTSA game. Part of that's because I work at Dave Campbell's and we love the regional rivalries that bloom in Texas because we're losing so many of them. But that game was hyped up as the G5 Super Bowl last year. It was so exciting going to that game, and it was exciting for all of about 8 minutes of that game because Texas State just bludgeoned them 49-3. But UTSA is going to be pissed off, and I think that game last year kind of skewed expectations both ways because UTSA wasn't as good as everyone thought they were, and Texas State putting the can of whoop ass on them was not as good. It wasn't as impressive as everyone thought it was going to be. So I'm interested to see that rematch. My first look at the schedule, I could almost see a reverse of last year. So last year they are a sky high 2-1 with that absolute bludgeoning of UTSA and the really close loss against Arizona State, who turned out to be a really good team. It's a tough opening slate with UTSA. Arkansas State is salty. I mean, that defense gave up 32.2 points per game last year, so it'll be an early litmus test for Texas State offense, new look offense. I could see them starting 1 or 2, 1-3. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying I could see it. But then they finish with a similar record. So it's kind of like the inverse of last year because that back half of the schedule is wide open. I mean, Louisiana's 10-4 last year, but it's a complete rebuild around Walker Howard. So the games at the back half are gettable. The early part of the season's tough and it's going to test this team immensely.
I'm just looking at the schedule too. I didn't realize homecoming was so pushed forward in October. It's October 11th when Troy comes to town.
That's a high school thing too, because I'm a high school writer for Dave Campbell's now. Still do a college football podcast, but I go to week one games in high school and they're doing homecoming. So the seniors haven't left yet. It's
Yeah.
August 20th. What are we doing here?
I feel like homecoming for the longest time was always like super late, but it's because Texas State plays a lot of like early home games, like you've first like 5 weeks of the year, one, two,
And
three.
that's a benefit for them because this schedule's tough. I mean, they go to Arizona State, which is, a trek, but not crazy. Arkansas State, a trek, but not crazy. Yeah, actually, ooh, they're at UTSA too. Yeah, never
Mhm.
mind. I take back what I said. This is brutal.
Yeah, the
First
Alamo Dome game
and
is going to be nuts. They're trying to break the all-time attendance record. UTSA put those tickets on sale like 2 weeks ago. It's going to be a sold-out crowd, I think.
is it going to be a sold out crowd if they lose to UTSA, Arizona State, and Arkansas State?
Oh, that's true. Maybe not. Good thing it's week two, though.
Like yeah, wait, no, family weekends week two. Wait,
Oh,
week three.
really?
Yeah, homecoming game is October 11th. That is, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's week six.
Oh,
Homecoming's
my
week
bad. My
six.
bad. I was talking about like the Alamo Dome game itself for UTSA, week two. Yeah.
So if they want to break the homecoming attendance record or the overall attendance record for that, they got to beat at least one of UTSA, Arizona State, and Arkansas State. At least one. I'm chalking up Eastern Michigan and Nichols as wins. They better be wins. UTSA, Arizona State, Arkansas State's tough. I think I'll give them Arkansas State. Man, UTSA's offense is so good this upcoming year. Like UTSA is going to be a different type program than it was last year.
Yeah. I'm scared already. And that's kind of a home game for me too, because I live in San Antonio. So I just get to go down the street. Pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice change of pace for me. I think me and Zim will have this team finishing similar to last year. I think we're like 7-5 vibes. First Responders Bowl, round three. Let's do it. Book your tickets to Dallas now.
that'd be awesome. A round three First Responders Bowl,
Three-peat
like
champions.
annual Christmas vacation for Bobcats fans. I mean, I mentioned the tailgates at UFCU Stadium. Those tailgates at First Responders Bowl on the Boulevard in SMU. I'll say this: Texas State beat North Texas in the First Responders Bowl. They also absolutely demolished them in the tailgate. Like that entire boulevard was Texas State maroon and gold.
Bobcats love to party, and so I think football overall is given more reasons to party, which is nice. I think it's added to the environment overall. But if you want to take the step from good to great, it's so gigantic now, it feels.
I don't think it happens this year. I think they go 7-6 this year, and they go to the First Responders Bowl again.
Run it up.
Circle the wagons.
Is that a failure? That's not a failure, right?
No, I don't think so. I think a failure would be missing a bowl game. I think, of course, the fans would probably be disappointed with a third straight First Responders Bowl. But like I said, man, I don't like this roster as much as I liked it in years past. And maybe
Yeah.
there's a lot of unproven guys that GJ Kinney has hit gold on because he's a talent evaluator and really good at it. But I don't think 7-6 with this roster is a failure at all. I think it's a sign of a stable program.
Maybe that's why I haven't been allowed to go into practices. That was very much the vibe at the spring game is like, ooh, this is maybe not good yet.
Well, it
And
also could be like I run into this when I do the magazine previews at Dave Campbell. You talk to G5 coaches and they're telling you about these playmakers they're going to have for the upcoming fall season. 2 weeks later, those guys are gone.
yeah.
So I think that limits media availability because they don't want people in there saying like, "Man, this backup corner is 6'3", lengthy, and making a lot of plays," because putting the players on the shelf for shopping.
That's why I've refused to cover recruiting on this podcast, really. Like, I don't think you're a Bobcat until you take that first snap. Until then, you are enrolled at Texas State pretty much. Like, that's it. You're just
Yeah.
going to school in the summertime until the first snap of the fall.
Exactly. It's definitely harder to in this day and age, and Craven and I talked about this on the show yesterday because of Greg Sankey's comments and Josh Pate talking about do fall Saturdays still feel the same? And we don't have to get into this whole discussion, but
Oh,
it
I
feels
saw that
different.
tweet of yours. Yeah.
But it feels different because of the roster turnover. You can't like form a relationship with players as much.
Mm.
Like I talked to a guy that went to Marquette, and he describes Shaka Smart, the basketball coach, because Marquette's a basketball school. He doesn't do the transfer portal. And while that sometimes stinks because there's guys they probably could get, he gets to watch guys go from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior and form a relationship with them. And I just don't think people get to do that anymore in college football
Yeah.
or college basketball, really.
Well, college anything now. Like, I'll talk about this once I'm not talking to you on the back end or the front end of this podcast. But baseball, oh my God, all these guys are breaking my heart getting into the transfer portal after this year.
Hmm.
Sad face all around.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about existential college football talk for days. We don't need to go on that route. We can keep it Texas State. Let's talk Bobcats.
Wait, I want to get one more existentialism out of the way. Uh,
Yeah.
People, Bobcats everywhere, obsessed about talking about the Pac-12, a future move to the Pac-12. Will these rumors ever die, Carter Yates? I'm in hell.
They won't die until the Pac-12 maybe dies. So I was checking out betarizona.com. I'm not, promoting that, but it's just out there. Texas State's plus 110 to be the eighth member right now.
Hmm.
So it seems like that's the popular bet for them to go to the Pac-12. I was looking at reporting from Jason Walker at the Cache Valley Daily. Basically, the Pac-12, their goal is to become the preeminent non-Power Four conference. It's basically what the American Athletic Conference did in years back. But they don't have a TV deal. Okay, so that's the big hurdle they have to jump. Oregon State and Washington State have one for 2025, 2026. And the goalpost for when the Pac-12 gets a media deal, TV deal, keeps getting pushed back. Like San Diego State athletic director J.D. Wicker said, media deal would be finalized by the end of March. Then that came and went, and they said, well, end of the Final Four. And then they still don't have one. They have to add another all sports member, which could be Texas State, by July 2026. But they're not going to be able to add that until they get a media deal done. And all you see with the Pac-12, even before they died, basically, the Conference of Champions, they all moved to the Big Ten and the ACC. It was like, no, like, trust me, we got a deal, bro. Like, trust me, we have a media deal. And then it turns out it's on Apple TV and like Pluto TV or whatever it was. I don't remember the terms of the deal, but it wasn't good. Basically, they had a meeting about it and then everyone vacated. So I think it would make sense for Pac-12. Does it make sense for Texas State. I don't know. What do you think about it?
You see a girl at a bar and you're like, I got a shot with this one, And then she turns you down for no good reason, really. And, you're looking to be a full member in this partnership. And then they turn you down and they're like, I don't know, maybe like half, one third of a share.
Well, hold on. I thought Texas State turned him down.
Maybe. I don't know. So the
I
story goes. I feel
the
like people
school.
are spinning this narrative too, because we're not in these conversations. We can only assume. But now people are like reading into like Kelly's tweets about soups for like ultimate answers on this stuff.
What do the soup say? What's alphabet soup tell us?
Well, he
Like,
went out to Washington, D.C. He had lunch by the White House, and he got served like a full cup of soup, and he was like, "I like soup. You know what I don't like? Half cups of soup." And the world ran with that story.
why? What does half cup of soup mean? Is that referring to the Pac-12 as a half cup of soup?
Well, like a half share, like a half offer to join.
Oh, okay.
So people ran with that like nobody's business. And I don't know. I texted Kelly. He was like, "I just like soup."
Not that it's not that deep, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who is the pursuer and who's the pursuee in this relationship between Texas State and the Pac-12 because the official reporting is the Texas State turned them down. I think the Pac-12 they're still in this mode of they have all the cards, and like we can choose who comes to our conference. Like we're gonna take only the top half of the Mountain West because we're better than the Mountain West, and we can pick and choose who from the American and the Sun Belt we want. And it's like not to go all President Trump here, but like, do you have the cards? Do you have all the cards? I don't know.
I think if they're playing cards, they're like hitting on blackjack right now. Like they might already have had 21 for a long time. Now they're at 35, 36. Hit, hit, hit. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's also not the Pac-12 that it was. People have to remember that. Like this is not the conference that it used to be.
It's
So
the glorified Mountain West. It's like the best teams from the Mountain West, and then, and then, and then who? Texas State, maybe.
no.
And Gonzaga as a basketball playing school.
Is it a death sentence if Texas State just stays in the Sun Belt? I feel like no. I don't feel like it's not
I
that
don't
bad.
I don't think so. I mean, I can't report to like what their financials look like. I mean, the fact that Texas State's buyout of the Sun Belt is only $5 million is probably not the best sign of like that conference. But I've written about it in the magazine coming out. Like the Sun Belt is damn good football. You see so many future stars born in the Sun Belt, both player and coach. And there's regionality there too, which so many of these conferences don't have anymore. They're coast to coast. But there's been rivalries. They've had the same group of teams since 2013. You have coaches like Billy Napier, Elijah Drinkwitz. I like the Sun Belt a lot personally as a college football fan. I don't think it's a bad move to stay.
You're a fan of reality TV, You talked about Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah.
I think uh, the dude from Marshall going to Southern Miss is the biggest drama ever. It's going to be awesome next year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Charles Huff literally took the entire Marshall football team to Southern Miss and Marshall won the Sun Belt and could not play in their bowl game. Like that's how dire it was because he raided the cupboard. So
Meanwhile, in Dave Campbell's college football 2025, I couldn't win a game with Marshall's offense. Explain that. The heck is that?
well, did they not boost those ratings on college football 25 once they started winning?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know because I stopped really playing like during the season. It's hard to write and go to these games if you're playing football all the time on the video games, Carter.
Yeah, I stopped playing on that because I was so bad at defense.
Yeah, it's
Horrible.
terrible. You gotta
I
like
could I was an air raid guy, I'm scoring 40 points a game, but I could not tackle to save my life.
nope. Yeah. I can hit stick, but then I'll miss the tackle. Like I'll perform the hit stick and then launch myself into the stratosphere.
Yeah, but that one out of every 5 times it hits is so nice when you hit
Yeah.
stick a guy.
Oh yeah.
Are you getting the new college football game?
I don't know, man. $60 for something that like I might play with?
I'm not. I'm just gonna stick with the other one. Maybe get it like every 1 or 3 years.
I'm
'Cause I
excited.
don't. What's the new feature? Like, what's the new? New?
Oh, you didn't hear? Coaches are in the game. GJ Kinney, Landon Keppel, and Dexter McCoyle.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. That's fair. I don't know if that's enough for me to get the new game, but
No.
at least that's something.
But if you do like a creative player, you are kind of like creating your ideal man. And so if you make one in the likeness of GJ Kinney, does that count? I don't know. Like he's already in the game, I guess, sort of, if you want him to be.
Is it one of those like you can face scan GJ Kinney and like make him your high school football player
Well, yeah, if
going
you
into
just like make enough, you spend enough time on the creator player aspect, you could probably get pretty close to GJ.
it's like your girlfriend opens your phone and it's just Google images of GJ Kinney's face. Like, no, I swear, I'm just trying to make him my creative player. I'm just looking at him for that. It's like that's even weirder.
That's even weirder somehow. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about the coaches though, because I'm interested to see what you think about Landon Keppel. I I think Mac Leftwich is a bigger loss at offensive coordinator than everyone's talking about.
I was kind of amazed, and I was talking to Craven year one about this as we were walking out of one of the games. But it's kind of amazing that we even kept this dude for year two,
Mm-hmm.
because he probably could have gone somewhere else immediately.
They were top 11 in scoring offense the past 2 years. And, Keppel, he had a hell of a run at Southern Arkansas as their offensive coordinator. I think he coached a quarterback to 8 consecutive all-conference nods, and he's been a GJ Kinney guy and from UIW to, I believe they were at Hawaii
Mhm.
together.
Yeah, something like that.
So this
He
is a
took like a
GJ
job where they
Kinney.
were getting paid like zero money. Like that's how coaching is. That's how journalism is too. You gotta go somewhere, get paid like nothing, and then
Yeah,
prove
similar
yourself.
hustle. Similar hustle. Um, yeah, so I think I one don't know about Keppel, and I two don't like the offensive personnel as much because the wide receivers, like it's Bo Sparks and Chris Don Jr., who are both really good, but who's their third option? It might be Kylan Evans from Frisco Lone Star. Tyron Smith comes in. He was at UTEP in 2022 and had 1,000 yards, and since then he's had 23 catches. They lost Harkey on the offensive line. Of course, Jordan McLeod is gone, so you don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I think the running backs are going to be the focal point of the offense with Lincoln. It's Lincoln Parry, right?
Perry, yeah.
Lincoln Perry. But by the way, still has the best throw I saw from all of the 2024 college football season when he had the game winner against in the first responders bowl and threw it 80 yards into the stands.
Nuts.
That was awesome. But yeah, him and Torrance Burgess and Jalen Jenkins, those are going to be the focal points of the offense. It's going to be a little different, I think, from the past couple of years.
It's nice, especially if it does end up being Brad behind center. He's got a lot of veteran presence around him. Has run that offense before. A true Bobcat, as I call them now, Lincoln Perry, who's never once ditched Texas State. Probably could have gone somewhere else after his ACL thing. Instead, thugged it out, became the dude he was last year as kind of like a role player. And then, I don't know, I guess kind of like proved that he wasn't like all talk with it, like he was like, I'm a Bobcat, I'm here to stay, plays in the First Responders Bowl, has a game. Pretty much, he's named a captain already, even ahead of the season this year.
But do you think he can be a bell cow, and does he have to be? Is it RB by committee with those two other guys, or does he need to be the dude?
I don't know if he is going to be the dude. We also brought in a dude from UNLV, right? Is that guy still with the team? I don't even know anymore because the carousel that is this thing.
Yeah, so Greg Burrell. So this guy's 6'1", 205. That's kind of a different type of back than some of those other guys. I mean, Torrance Burgess is, pretty short. Um, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns in 11 games last year for UNLV. He could be a breakout guy. So I guess you're right. I don't know if if Lincoln Parry has to be the guy.
Yeah. I've also wanted to see desperately more tight end play. Maybe this
Yeah,
is the year of the tight end for us.
I think you could see Texas State more 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends. I really think you could because they have questions at wide receiver. So they might not have the luxury of splitting out 4 wide, 3 wide. They might need to go two tight end sets.
And Brad Jackson's like a run threat dude anyway. So.
So I'm saying it could be a way different offense that you're seeing. Like it'll still be Kinney's offense and he'll have his fingerprints on it, but the emphasis of the team could be a lot different with a running quarterback and Brad Jackson, two tight end sets, and a stable of running backs that they're probably excited about.
And this is all like who we talk until I actually end up seeing this team. We actually end up seeing this team together again at the First Responders Bowl
Yeah,
in
yeah.
December.
Our annual meetup of the First Responders Bowl,
Dude, it's wonderful. But what are you? Or you're on the high school beat? Do you get to go out for Saturdays anymore or no?
TBD. Probably not as much because I'll be at Thursday, Friday high school football games. So probably just be monitoring from home because I do the podcast still for Public Football Podcast with Craven. So those come out every Tuesday, Saturday, and I'll just probably be monitoring from home, not traveling as much. But I'll have Texas State loaded up on the TV.
Yeah. Any in your high school world? Are there any big high schoolers that are coming to Texas State this year? Like any guys that really like jump off the recruiting roster for you?
All right, I'll go two for you. Greg Gibson from West Mesquite, 6 foot, 175 pounds. I think Texas State needed some cornerback help. They mentioned guys they got from the JUCO ranks coming in to help out immediately, but is a very high upside athlete. I think he impressed the staff big time. So Greg Gibson, and then one of my personal favorites is Campbell wide receiver Tucker Cusano, who was committed to Rice for most of the 2024 season. He's 6'2", 200, long, lengthy receiver. He was one of the most impressive players I honestly saw in the high school ranks. He was on a loaded offense at Texas State with Harry Hassman, who was a Arizona State wide receiver now, and Edward Griffin, who's a Baylor quarterback. But I didn't know how Casano didn't get more love in recruiting. So I think Texas State got a steal with him.
Oh, look at that. So we got some pieces. We got some
Yeah,
dudes.
yeah.
That corner
100%.
that you mentioned, probably just making up for the frame size that we're losing with Torrey Spears. Torrey Spears has been there forever. I feel like I saw him play when I was in school.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But really, the big recruits that'll help out this year, I'm looking at the defensive line because you lose Ben Bell and Terry Webb. And I almost think Terry Webb's a bigger loss.
Hmm.
And not just because Ben Bell didn't play last year, but because it's so hard to get defensive tackles in the transfer portal. Texas State actually did really well. They added power forward defensive lineman Bryce Carter from Virginia, Don Terry Russell from Mississippi State, David Abiara from SMU, JP Dieter from Arizona State. They need one or two of those guys to hit real bad. Or because that is what defensive coordinator Dexter McCoyle's defense is built off of is strong play in the box. And they had that with Terry Webb last year. But who's stepping up for him? It's got to be one of the transfers. I also love Khalil Alexander. He was the breakout star last year. And that's also why I think Ben Bell's loss will not be as big as Terry Webb's because Khalil Alexander is a proven guy, 11 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. So the defense is a big question mark, but Dexter McCoyle, he brought him from 114th in the nation in scoring defense to 60th in the nation in scoring defense. So I think he had a really good first season.
Yeah. And I'm kind of encouraged by that was his year one. What does his year two look like? And then he'll get to also bolster a first year coordinator in Keppel, at least at Texas State. You mentioned, he's had some experience, the offensive coordinator position before. We should be able to vote on that committee now, having covered it for 2 seasons back to back.
Exactly. What is the committee? Is there like the people who say where the teams are going to go?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm picking Texas State every year.
Every year.
So maybe Bobcat fans don't want me on the committee because I want Texas State on it every year.
I like it as like an inter Texas thing too. First year played Rice, second year played UNT.
Yeah, we need more of those. It's very similar to like when I attended Texas and they made the Alamo Bowl every year. And every year we marked our calendars like we're going to San Antonio in December for the Alamo Bowl. That's where Texas State is right now with the First Responder Bowl.
Good problem, bad problem? I think it's pretty good.
I think it's if you're in a good city like Dallas, yes. And I'm not trying to throw shade. San Antonio is a great city too. Like, so that was a good thing for Texas fans to have. Like, it was great to go down there and watch those games in San Antonio. San Antonio is awesome.
The capital of T-shirt Texas fans maybe is San Antonio.
If you're in the Birmingham Bowl every year, that might be tough. If that's your destination. Or like, I don't know, where's the Dukes Mayo Bowl played? That'd be tough to.
Watch out, Jay Arnold, friend of the podcast.
Oh no! Oh no, yeah, cut that part. I don't want JF from either. Two guys I don't want to see in the square: Jay Arnold, Ben Bell.
Yeah. Two guys I definitely don't want to get into the way of a barbecue like plate. It's like a dog. Try to take their food bowl. Wow. Might lose a finger. Well, thank you, Carter. I really just wanted to talk to you kind of like way too deep, way too early prediction mode for all of these Bobcat games. Again, we don't know anything. We don't know what's going on. We've barely seen this team play. So, yeah.
It's it'll be an interesting year in San Marcos. I'm excited to see what they do. Again, closing thoughts is like this is not a roster I'm as excited about as years past, but I'm excited to see what GJ Kinney does with it because it's going to show you what type of coach he is, how Texas State handles a year where they might not have as many Jimmies and Joes.
So, are you selling or buying Texas State stock
What is the over under right now? Do you know?
on
Like, what would you set the over under as?
for win loss or for
Yeah, for win loss.
uh, right now as it stands? I think we could win 7 games for sure.
I think 7-6 is the marker that I'm saying they're going to be at. So, depending on what your over under is, I'm selling this year, but I'm buying long term. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So, like, I'm not, if the tariffs have taught us anything, it's like you never sell stock. You just always hold no matter what.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with GJ Kinney in Texas State right now. It's going to go up and down, guys. The only way you lose money is if you get off the coaster. I'm not getting off the coaster.
Um, I don't want to give out financial advice, but Thad Watkins, shout out my guy, Big Thad. But I think he told me this too. He was like, time in market always beats time in the market. Hmm?
That's
Check that
great.
out. A guy who owns a lot of Bobcat stock. I need Texas State to work out on all fronts for me. So, yeah.
Exactly. So that's my unsolicited college football financial advice is don't sell Texas State stock, even if this year is a little bit disappointing.
Hmm. Bars. Well, Carter, thank you again. Congratulations on your engagement also.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Always fun coming on Squaring Around. Love it.
Carter, thank you again for joining the show, buddy. Great to have you on. Um, Look forward to having you along sometime in this season to preview the games or take a look back at the Bobcats and what they're doing. Hopefully, they're doing something good. Hopefully, actually, as we get closer and closer to kickoff, we're less than 100 days. I want to say we're less than 90 days out from kickoff. I could be wrong, but whatever. These episodes come out at a later date anyway. So I think we're less than like 100 days for sure from kickoff. And as we keep creeping and creeping and creeping, we start seeing some social media stuff. Hopefully, I'm actually even at practices this summer. That'll be the first litmus test for is this team good or not, is if I can see them on a consistent basis. And the second one will be um, as we start looking up to Eastern Michigan, how good that game looks. Because week 2, as me and Carter talked about, is UTSA. And honestly, we could lose every game after if we if we win that game to UTSA. That's how big it means to me personally. And I'm actually collecting a bet in July. In the office, I made a bet with another producer friend of mine, and I asked for dinner in July in San Marcos. I don't know why I did that, but I'm having dinner in July pretty soon for collecting this year's bet. And hopefully the Bobcats don't let me down in what will be kind of a home game for me and Zimmel week 2. I'm not going to see them week 1, Eastern Michigan. I'll have to watch back on the cast and check out what Andrew kicks up week 1. That'll be fun, I'm sure. And then yeah, week 1, I want to be back home actually, UTRGV again, baby. Try to see them boys. I'm gonna write for them a little bit too. So it's a fun little double dip that I get to do when I get to go home for Dave Campbell's. And so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about it. Baseball. A lot of guys in the transfer portal. Off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's more. Top 3 dudes: Alex Valentine, Matthew Tippy, Ryan Farber. Oh my God, my heart broke. Ryan Farber. Um, Alex Valentine won us a lot of great games. Very emotional dude. Got kicked out of the South Alabama series for throwing at a dude. All these guys say the same thing too. Does that not hurt everybody's feelings at this point? This chapter meant the world to me. Also, I'm leaving. Sad face. good luck to those guys. Once a Bobcat, always a Bobcat. You know how I feel about you, especially the baseball team. All those guys follow this podcast. All those guys listen to the podcast, fans of the podcast. Didn't come on the podcast this year. You guys will remember we had some interview scheduling stuff happen with the baseball team. And by scheduling stuff, I mean the team did not make players really available to us as they were going through their kind of like ups and downs of the season. A lot more downs than ups, but you know what I mean. So that kind of stunk. But yeah, Ryan Farber, I know and a lot of Bobcats that I know share this sentiment. Thought this dude was going to be a lifer. Thought he was going to graduate a Bobcat. But I hope he gets paid. I hope everybody gets paid. I hope we get paid. So Trouty, looking in the portal, we know he's got to attack pitchers. Everybody knows this, right? If we could do like a maintenance request, looking at the pitchers for sure, pitching, and then I think really what hurt the lineup the most was just injuries. Everybody will tell you that it's injuries. By now, there's probably even more people in the portal. I don't know. I'm not looking at my phone right now. I'm staring at my computer screen. So I'm sad about it. Honestly, that team was fun. I'll talk more about it as me, Colton, and Zim will do like kind of like a wraparound look at the season next week. We'll also figure out how much money I owe Maroon and Golden for swearing on this show. Dropped one last week. I think it's been pretty clean though, relatively speaking. And some weeks are better than others. I think football, I definitely lit up the scoreboard that season. So, what are you gonna do? So I'm sad, but not sad about it, I guess. It's a tough season. Tough season in a lot of ways. And Coach Johnson, Terrence Johnson, Steve Trout, both on contract years in 2027. So 25, 26, this is their last like full year. So we're going to kind of see what they're made of coming up this year. And I'm excited about it, I guess. But also I want more access. You know me. I want to be in the trenches with these guys, man. So if any coaches out there listening, and I know Coach Z will definitely take me up on this offer. She's already going to take me up on the offer to be on the show and talk kind of like way too deep, like what we did with Carter, but with basketball. Once those T's and I's are crossed and dotted in the transfer portal stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I just hope everybody can stay healthy. That feels like the excuse that I've been given for the past 2 springs is, if only we were healthy. Oh, if only we were healthy. Stay healthy. What the heck? I know accidents happen. Things happen. Sports are weird. Balls are funky. But, what's going on over there? Stay healthy. Stay on the court. Win games, please. That's all everybody wants. And next week will be a lot like more normal, I think. Zimmel will be here to balance me out. I've missed him, honestly. He's been gone from the 17th to the 28th. That's a lot of time to travel. But I'm glad he took time off. Neuroscientists, this is my favorite fun fact. Neuroscientists have linked your ability to turn it off with your ability to turn it on. So like it's interrelated, like your performance ability between like going super hard in the paint at work or whatever activity you have, and then not, having a beer on the river or something. I don't know. I enjoy it. So if you're taking time off this summer, shout out our teachers, shout out our first responders. But if you're taking time off, for you, make sure you're getting it done right. Recovery time is just as important as putting in the work. And my guys, James Ortiz and John Hernandez will tell you that too. So thanks for squaring, everybody. Appreciate it again. Thank you, Carter, for joining the show. That's Squaring Around. Thanks for squaring.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.